because it's the biggest single scandal of our time, certainly the biggest political scandal perhaps in history. They spied on our campaign, and then they tried for a coup. That didn't work out too well. And it turned out that you read the text that came out over the last 3 days, it turned out that it was reversed. It was the DNC and the Democrats that were using Russia. And related or unrelated, Hunter Biden got $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Why did he get $3.5 million? And then he got millions more than we thought from Ukraine, and he got millions more than we heard about from China. Hunter Biden, where's Hunter? So these are all questions that are very, very big on the internet. The biggest thing going on the internet is exactly this. And we're going to have to see how that all turns out. But it turned out that we were right. So we went through 2.5 years of ruining people's lives, like General Flynn and many others, ruining their lives. And it turned out to be just the opposite. It was the Democrats that were dealing with Russia and other things. So hopefully our Attorney General and others working on this very, very hard, very diligently it'll lead to something that will be very important for our nation. I think it's very important for our nation. It's one of the most important things.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest Q post, and we have to ask the question, is John Durham's investigation going to bring down the Clinton cartel that was being run out of the Clinton Foundation? We're going to look at a bunch of things that we've learned over the last few years, connecting them to the Clinton Foundation, including James Comey and his brother Peter Comey's suspicious ties to that, a law firm that has been connected to all of these players, including Kamala Harris and Lisa Barsumian and Rod Rosenstein. So you guys are going to want to stick around and hear that and a whole lot more. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig, and today we're going to get into a bunch of crazy topics that are really powerful that you need to hear. But first, remember to come here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you guys want to see more of this content. Also, don't forget that I do a segment at the end called God's Grace is Greater. Today we're reading out of the book of 1 Peter, and this is out of chapter 3, and it talks about undeserved suffering, and these words are so powerful. So whether you're having a hard time with your family, your friends, or just stress in general from the uncertainty of the times we live in, I really encourage you guys to stick around to the end for that message, because it's a powerful one and it should speak to your heart about how undeserved suffering is something we can overcome with Christ. But today we're picking up on the cue board right where we left off, and we're going to jump right into it because we have a lot of information to get through. So where we left off was 4772. We're picking up at 4773, and we're getting right into these latest Q posts. So the first post we have here is this set of text messages. And what these text messages seem to show is pretty simple. It's that there was a obvious knowledge within the FBI, and these are from May 17th of 2017. So this is shortly after President Trump became president of the United States. They knew that John Durham was going to be investigating them, and they were very weary about what it was going to expose, right? And they were actually relaying back and forth on how to seemingly obfuscate the investigators and to basically coordinate on their answers for this investigation that was ongoing, because they knew, right, as we saw in previous texts that were released a little earlier this, I think last week or the week before, where they understood that what they were doing was wrong. They knew that the intelligence they were using was bad, and they knew that they were going to be held accountable. Now, it doesn't say who exactly these texts are between. I guess you would assume it's between Page and Strzok, or Page and someone else there. But they reference people like, I would assume JB is Jim Baker. I would assume Bill is Bill Priestap. I would assume that a few other names you mentioned here are ones that we've heard from Q in the past, talking about the top leadership in the FBI and their coordinated effort here to, like I said, obfuscate the Durham investigation and understand it, that they're talking about things that are happening in the news. They're talking about things that, basically directly that definitely are referencing their actions at the FBI, according to some of these text messages whether they reference the New York Times or the Washington Post here, and the T for Trump. They're obviously talking about what's happening, and they're understanding the fact that they're under the metaphorical gun as far as this investigation goes. And so if you think about that, And you relate to what Q's kind of hinting at here. He gives us 2 pages of the documents, and there's a bunch of different references in here. But, you know, here's the thing. I'll just read this last one because it's kind of telling. It says, I know I was. The only thing that I feel uneasy about is the part mentioning the fact that I had the Trump investigation. I think that might cause problem. Oh, really? And I think that's referring to Peter Strzok in that one. He's referring to himself, saying it's a problem that he's involved in the Trump investigation because he was involved in the mid-year exam, and then he knows that his connections are basically going to get exposed for the way he, you know, set up Flynn, Crossfire Razor, Crossfire Hurricane, etc. And if you read through these again, like I said, they reference, you know, they're having meetings with Bill and Bill Precept and Jim Baker to discuss strategies, and they make some comments here about certain individuals. So it really is fascinating to read through these, but the context is what is down here, right? This Q post where it talks about this tweet from Paul Saran, which was saying, goodbye, Mr. Rosenstein, are still overseeing the special counsel. And it was talking about the oversight of the nonprofit organizations and the Clinton Foundation, and talking about Huber and how nobody's above the law and the world's watching. And then it says, what if there's another prosecutor outside of DC assigned by Sessions with the same mandate, authority, one for the history books, not long now, Q. So to tie that all together, it talks about Durham True Start, Durham take over the Huber investigation, select parts regarding Clinton Foundation investigation. What if there's another prosecutor outside of DC assigned by Sessions with the same mandate, authority, Q. So we're going back here. I mean, this is from December of 2018. And to tie this all together, so this is what seems to have happened. The same day that Q starts dropping posts on, I guess it was 8chan or whatever, you see the Durham investigation begin. Now, that was October 28th, I believe, 2017. But that may have not even been the true start, right? Because you have these individuals in these text messages talking about Durham all the way back in, let's see, May of 2017. So that would mean that months before even it officially started, Durham was working to investigate these people and their actions, right? At least that's the way I'm reading it, because I'm looking at the dates and I'm thinking, okay, well, I guess the official start, he was appointed by Jeff Sessions in October of 2017, but then you see here it talking about how these FBI agents, only a few months after President Trump was took office after inauguration, were talking about John Durham. So they knew that President Trump, the first thing he did when he walked in probably was Sessions probably started this investigation into them. And it didn't even get announced until later. So that would be interesting if that's some bombshell information that you know, we're not aware of. But it says, if you connect it all together, like I said, they took over the Huber investigation. That's why it kind of fizzled out, but it was taken over by Durham, because Durham's got this investigation that's probably been ongoing since, it seems, according to these texts, at least May or April of 2017, right? So again, this one here is Q referencing the same set of texts that we just looked at, right? The one right here where it's talking about idea of his, and it goes through all these different connections where they talk about him getting mentioned in this was a problem. So think about that. They knew about all this. They knew it was coming. And then this is from Q back in September of 2018, where it says, how might DARPA, aka Google, play a role in the spy campaign against POTUS? Think Gmail drafts, think Eric Schmidt resignation. It will all eventually, or connect eventually. What did we learn this week? Check Gmail, Q. So in here, actually, as well, I forgot to mention that they do say here, check Gmail, right? You see this right here. It says, check Gmail. Okay, I will send an email now. So the FBI agents were using Gmail to communicate with one another, referencing the Durham investigation and ongoing investigations at the FBI, which means that Eric Schmidt had access to this information, obviously, if they own and control Google, which means it was basically public at that point, because the idea that FBI agents were trying to use Gmail to get around government email service so that they would not leave a paper trail, that's what this is all about. Why were they on Gmail? They were on Gmail, to, like I just said, to avoid having it retained in the public record, or in the official government record, I should say, because a lot of stuff is classified or confidential at the time it's being done, when it's on a state-run email, whether it's, you know, FBI.gov or whatever server they're using. If they use the Gmail servers, they could, basically do an end around where they wouldn't have to have it, documented. But as Q has said before, none of this information was ever lost. Therefore, if you think about the connection to Gmail, that's what it's all about. That's why Schmidt was pushed out of his position. It's why Q referenced Google so many times. It's why Q gave us the pictures of, him walking in with it, or somebody walking in with a Google ID badge, because they knew from day one the ways that the Comey FBI and the Clinton cartel, with their different minions, which we'll get into in a minute, were obfuscating the ways of retaining records on their communications, which made them vulnerable to blackmail, but it was all in the same club, right? So this is just beyond the scope of anything that you could imagine, I guess. But, Anons have known for a long time. We knew this is what that was referencing. So obviously, and did Obama have a secret Gmail where all these communications being shielded by Eric Schmidt? Was the NSA actually still collecting all the information? That's the question you have to ask yourself. So I hope that all makes sense. But here's the next one, a picture of President Trump with the American flag on top of a skyscraper, which I'm assuming is in New York City. So, yeah, it's kind of like one of those, just references, I think. And somebody told me once that these long, things here for the file names that just seem like random letters and numbers, you could decipher them to get messages out. There's like a cipher that you can use to basically look at all the letters or the numbers, one of the two. You kind of throw one out and you just look at the letters, or you just look at the numbers, and then you kind of put that back together and it actually gives you a message. But I'm not really a cryptologist person, so I'm not really decrypting that. But if you want to give it a shot, go ahead. The next one here is military.com. Article Q points us to the AC-130 gunships lighting up the night. And we've seen this before, and it's basically just showing that, we see everything. I think that's what the message is here. It's that we see everything. We see you when you don't even see us, and we can hit you from, where you don't expect. And I think that's what the Gmail thing is. I think we're telling the world basically that we know, and I'm saying we, the collective, we as in, we the people, and the government that's being run by President Trump right now, which is why they're attacking him, which is why they're running this insurrection, which is why they're trying to push this civil conflict. It's because he has deconstructed their infiltration of our government, and he is systematically destroying their structures of power within our government. And I think it's wonderful. I mean, I really do. I think that it's what's necessary to restore our republic back to the shape it needs to be in, where we're not just being run by a bunch of corrupt mafia-like criminals who have infiltrated every branch of government and every position of power to the point where they are not democratically run it or operated anymore. It's not a republic. It's a kleptocracy run by criminal, corrupt mafiosos. So yeah, that's my take on it. The next one here is where it starts to get interesting, right? So we're kind of looking back to look forward. So we start with this congressional record, and here it is. This is from September 12, 2016, during hearings that were being held on Capitol Hill, where it talks about Peter Comey and James Comey. And what's interesting here is, first of all, Patrick Howley, one of the reporters that's been doing work for quite some time here, is referenced. But I'd like to read this whole thing to you, and I know it's going to take a minute to get through it, but it's important to establish what we need to know. But we heard over and over, FBI Director Comey would never do anything but absolutely perfectly above board. But then this article by Patrick Howley, 10 September, came out. I was shocked. It said, a review of FBI Director James Comey's professional history and relationships show that Obama cabinet leader, now under fire for his handling of the investigation of Hillary Clinton, is deeply entrenched in the big money cronyism culture of Washington, D.C. His personal and professional relationships, all undisclosed as he announced the Bureau would not prosecute Clinton, reinforced bipartisan concerns that he may have politicized the criminal probe. These concerns focus on millions of dollars that Comey accepted from a Clinton Foundation defense contractor, Comey's former relationship in a Clinton Foundation corporate partners board. I had no idea. And his surprising financial relationship with his brother, Peter Comey, who works at the law firm that does the Clinton Foundation taxes. Who knew? Wow. Direct ties here with FBI Director James Comey family and Clinton Foundation. It is just amazing. I don't hold anybody's former employer against them. Fine. You are employed, hopefully, by somebody So I wouldn't hold that against them. Certainly Hank Paulson, the Secretary of Treasury, and well, yeah, he deserves to be in the congressional record yet again. Or Hank Paulson, the former chairman of Goldman Sachs, he certainly did every favor he possibly could to Goldman Sachs, and they are still going on. But here are some holdings, HSBC holdings, and the article mentioned in 2013, Comey became a board member, a director, and a financial system vulnerabilities committee member of the London bank HSBC Holdings. Mr. Comey's appointment will be for an initial 3-year term, which is subject to re-election by shareholders and will expire at the conclusion of 2016 annual general meeting. According to HSBC company records, HSBC Holdings and its various philanthropic branches routinely partner with the Clinton Foundation. For instance, HSBC Holdings had partnered with Deutsche Bank through the Clinton Foundation. Now remember, Deutsche Bank is connected to Nancy Pelosi, right? That's what something that Q had told us before. To retrofit 1,500 to 2,500 housing units, primarily in the low to moderate income sector in New York City. Anyway, it goes on to talk about Peter Comey. It says, quote, when our source called the Chinatown offices of D.C. law firm DLA Piper, now that's one to remember, DLA Piper, and asked for Peter Comey, a receptionist immediately put him through to Comey's direct line, but Peter Comey is not featured on DLA Piper website. Peter Comey serves as a senior director of real estate operations for the Americas for DLA Piper. James Comey was not questioned about his relationship with Peter Comey in his confirmation hearing. DLA Piper is the firm that performed the independent audit of the Clinton Foundation in November during Clinton World's first big push to put the email scandal behind them. DLA Piper's employees taken as a whole represent a major Hillary Clinton 2016 campaign donation block and Clinton Foundation donation base. DLA Piper ranks number 5 on Hillary Clinton's all-time career top contributors list, just ahead of Goldman Sachs. And here's another thing. Peter Comey has a mortgage on his house that is owned by his brother, James Comey, the FBI director. Peter Comey's financial records obtained by Breitbart News showed that he bought a $950,000 house in Vienna, Virginia in June 2008. He needed a $712,000 mortgage from First Savings Corporation. But on January 31st, 2011, James Comey and his wife stepped in to become private party lenders. They granted a mortgage on the house for $711,000. Anyway, it is just rather interesting. Who had any idea that Comey family had such ties to the Clinton Foundation? Peter Comey redesigned the FBI building. Did you guys know that? Peter Comey redesigned the FBI building? Yeah. Well, that's interesting. FBI Director James Comey grew up in the New Jersey suburbs with his brother Peter. Going on here, it says, anyway, interesting how about that Peter Comey redesigned the FBI building according to the article. Procon, which is the name of the company, Consulting's client list includes FBI headquarters, Washington, D.C. So what did Procon Consulting do for the FBI headquarters? Quite a bit, apparently. According to the firm's records, Procon provided strategic project management for the consolidation of over 11,000 FBI personnel into one high-security facility. You imagine that they had the keys to the kingdom there. Then it goes on, as the article ends, it says, this is not going to end well. Well, fortunately for Hillary Clinton, the investigation with the Clinton Foundation ties to the FBI director has ended well for her, and then they yield back their time. So this is a part of a testimony that was given by a representative in the House for Congress who was basically laying out all these facts for us, right? And you look at that and you go, wow, well, that's interesting, right? And it says Peter Comey, brother of James Comey, the Clinton Foundation, DLA Piper, conflict of interest, follow the family, think McCabe's family, focus here, East Africa operations. And then it gives this link to the Clinton Foundation talking about a firm commitment to legal education in East Africa. And then it talks about in 2012, New Perimeter, a nonprofit organization established by global law firm DLA Piper. Again, there you go. Committed to deliver innovative practical skills-based training to 800 students, government officials in East Africa. So there you go, guys. This is another connection. So is Andrew McCabe's wife connected to this DLA Piper, it seems? Was she the one helping out in this East Africa initiative? Was only 10% of the $1 million that it says here was committed to this? Was that only about 100,000 actually put into this program, and then the rest was used to pay off administrative fees, which basically was just a way to funnel money? Was it just funneling money as bribes to government officials? that's like completely untraceable. I mean, how are you going to go verify that they're teaching kids or lawyers in Kenya, Tanzania, and Zambia? Because all you have to do is take $100,000, go to one of these third world countries in Africa, start handing out, 5,000 to them. That must be, with whatever the exchange rate of currency is, that's probably a huge amount of money. So you bribe them to say, oh yeah, we're being taught how to be better lawyers. And then you just take the rest and you funnel it into the pockets of the family members of the people who are in the positions of power in your government that you're trying to take over and control from the inside. I mean, that's what I would do if I was a criminal, but I'm not. So, I mean, I guess that's how they do it. Possibly. Yeah, this is crazy, right? And then the next one here, which is very interesting. The next one here talks about these links, right, to all these articles where it talks about them normalizing this depravity with children, right? These crimes against children that we even talked about with reference to the Clinton Foundation, right? Remember the IG report where it came out? It said Hillary Clinton and Foundation, crime against children, in the same notes that were being taken. Yeah. Why are they trying to normalize it, guys? Because when the truth comes out, it's not going to look good for them. And then it points to this Reddit user named Maxwell Hill, who basically was posting up to 3 months ago about, all these different things. And if you look through it, it's pretty interesting, some of the article titles and what they say, calling out all these different things. And it seems like this may have been an account run by, I don't know. This is an account I think that people have speculated was like a secret Ghislaine Maxwell account on Reddit. The 14 million karma has been writing articles forever. What is this? How they disseminate out to their minions and lackeys in the fake news what stories they want to get out to undermine our culture as a whole, to normalize their depravity? I don't know. But what Q does say is shaping the narrative takes work. Trial date July 21st, 2012. Well, whose trial date's on July 21st, 2012? Oh, that's right. Ghislaine Maxwell's trial date is on July 12th, 2021. This is very interesting. This is unusual to have a 1-year gap from arrest to trial. What might be the purpose? Q. Well, it seems as though she might be a cooperating witness at this point, and she may be just spilling the beans on everyone, because I'm sure she doesn't want to spend the rest of her life in a prison cell, or she would rather have the rest of her life in a prison cell than to end up in, I don't know, like Gitmo. But if that's even, on the table. Yeah, this is where it gets crazy, guys. So the next one here is an older post that Q gave us back in May of this year, talking about the FBI agreeing CIA assessment Russia wanted to help Trump. But then it says, then and now, Brennan and Comey assessment, Clapper assist hard push. So remember, if these people were trying to start a coup and they were trying to use Russian disinformation that they knew was Russian disinformation against President Trump, then they were basically helping Russia to undermine President Trump because they don't want President Trump in power. Because Hillary Clinton was already bought and paid for and blackmailed and everything else. And or just working with them, allegedly, whichever one may or may not have been true. So think about that, though. And then you have these justice.gov connections where it talks about, the criminal code on conspiracy to defraud U.S. government, criminal resource manual on knowingly and willfully. What does that mean? And it talks about, sedition. I mean, yeah, these people are involved in crimes against this country that amount to treason and sedition. And they were knowingly and willfully, it seems, according to Q, involved in this stuff. But then it points to this John Solomon tweet, right, which is talking about the next declassification could flip Russia collusion script and point to effort to hurt Trump. Well, no kidding, right? Here's the thing that you got to understand. What we already have basically figured out is that Carter Page was being used in, I think it was Crossfire Hurricane was dealing with him as a way to spy on President Trump for having connections to Russians, which they fully knew that existed. They knew that there was connections between Carter Page and Russia because the intelligence agencies had asked Carter Page to make those connections, and they were using him actively as an asset. But then when it became convenient for them, they it seems maybe doctored emails and changed them to show that they didn't know about this when in reality they did. And that's how they went after President Trump in the special counsel investigation, which was tantamount to a coup to remove a sitting president because he was exposing their criminal activities, which, as we've noted earlier in this report, that obviously were going on even before the public announcing of John Durham in his investigation, even months before that. We're talking about 5-6 months before it even publicly came out that Sessions appointed Durham to investigate the Clinton cartel and their infiltration of our government, and maybe even earlier. So, man, this is not looking good for them, right? And of course, right here is HR Resolution 1154, which is coming out now. And of course, it is condemning QAnon and rejecting conspiracy theories it promotes. Well, is it conspiracy theory to look at publicly available information and understand that there are corrupt factions inside of our government who have actively been trying to push a coup against our sitting president? And we're having a 4-year investigation almost now of their criminal activities. And now they've decided to push this mail-in voting fraud and to have all this different criminal stuff happening now just conveniently right before the election because these people would rather destroy this republic than face accountability for their crimes? If that's a conspiracy theory that it promotes, then, these people have lost their minds. They don't know. They don't live in reality. They're all bought and paid for. They're all controlled by this cartel. It's a cartel. It's a mafia. It's a mob. And it's fascinating when you look through this, right? And Q says panic in DC, which, yeah, that's what you're seeing. It's all panic. It's all show. It's all to change the narrative, right? And then we get this law.com article, which of course connects Kamala Harris's husband. They can't say husband, they have to say spouse because that's politically correct. Taking leave from DLA Piper, the same exact law firm that we're exposing here through this whole thing with Peter Comey involved and Andrew McCabe's wife possibly involved and the connections to to Hillary Clinton and the foundation involved. These people all run in the same circles. They're a part of the same corrupt mafia. I think I hope that John Durham is running a RICO Act investigation on these people. I think they are involved in racketeer influenced and corrupt organizations like the Clinton Foundation, which may or may not use organizations like DLA Piper as their way to funnel money and into government officials' spouses and other insignificant others or family members' pockets. And remember what Q said, follow the spouses. Remember what Q said about look at the families, look at the ties. The money's never directly given. It's funneled through a charity, and then it's funneled back into the pockets of people who claim to be working on boards and in initiatives to go, teach lawyers in Zambia. It's like, dude, you have to be able to see through this. It's so nakedly illegal in my opinion and obvious, but most people don't dig deep enough on all this stuff to understand that, and that's fine, but we have to keep red pilling them. We have to keep exposing them. That's why the failures of our media are so devastating to our democracy, our republic, is because they don't do this reporting, and they could, and they don't because they're corrupt. The next one here says, simple process. 1, family supporter hired at Clinton Foundation engaged law firms. 2, Clinton Foundation donated funds, primary influx foreign, under legal payments to engaged law firm, DLA Piper. DLA Piper payment, salary, bonus, and other to family members of supporter. Family member transfer to supporter, campaign foundation, gift, asset, home, etc., or other. And then it gives this Clinton Foundation site document, which is outlining all of their different initiatives, right? From the Clinton Foundation saying, they're going to tackle an action network for post-disaster recovery, an opioid response network, and child literacy program. Well, what do they do? Like Q is saying, look, all these programs are meant to be fronts for siphoning the bribes to the family members and et cetera, other people connected closely to the elites or so-called elites, the top officials in Washington, D.C., who they want to control or want to bribe, allegedly, apparently, maybe. Follow the expenses, follow salaries and benefits, follow professional and consulting, follow the cost of sales, follow other funds, expenses versus payouts, I should say. It says, analyze the percentage, how much of the actual donated money actually goes to help select causes, less than 10%. And look back historically over the last 5 years, right? Look at this, watch. Gifts and grants. It was in 2014, 172 million. Then 2015, 108 million. Then in 2016, when President Trump came in power, it cut almost down by half to 62 million. Loss of power, POTUS win, start of pay-to-play collapse. 2017, they were down to 26 million. And in 2018, they were down to 24 million. And in 2018, their total revenue was only 30 million, and their expenses were 47 million. The Clinton Foundation's at the center of all this. Think about it, guys. Just do the math yourselves. You could see there that it was a giant racket to funnel money into the pockets of people they needed to control, allegedly, maybe, possibly. Then it gives this Breitbart.com article saying, worth remembering FBI Director James Comey's Clinton Foundation connection. And that's basically going through the document that we looked at before, but then it connects it back to Lockheed Martin, where he got a huge $6 million compensation there. He's a big donor of the Clinton Foundation, and of course the HSBC stuff that we talked about, and Peter Comey, the stuff we talked about before. Which I'll leave links to it if you want to, read it, share it, etc. And then it says Lisa Barsumian, the former Bill Clinton attorney, Hamburg v. Clinton, appealed 1999, scrubbed from the net, wife of Rod Rosenstein. Now, what is this talking about? Well, somebody over here at this USA Carry board was putting together a very interesting idea, though. But it says that Lisa Barsumian graduated from Georgetown. She's a protege of James Comey and Robert Mueller. Barsumian, her boss, R. Craig Lawrence, represented Bill Clinton in 1998. Lawrence also represented Mueller 3 times, James Comey 5 times, Barack Obama 45 times, Kathleen Sebelius 56 times, Bill Clinton 40 times, and Hillary Clinton 17 times between 1998 and 2017. And of course, it goes on to say that there was a case that's been scrubbed from the internet, this Hamburg v. Clinton in 1998. So somebody out there has scrubbed the entire internet. And usually what that means, it says here, historically that indicates that the individual is a protected CIA operative. So is Rod Rosenstein's wife a clown in the agency? I don't know. But I'm telling you, it seems as though Q's pointing at this for a reason. And I would be very interested to read, because I tried to find the court case and what this Clinton v. Hamburg thing was all about, but I couldn't find the actual write-up on it. So if it's scrubbed from the internet, then that's interesting. And if his wife is an asset of the intelligence community, then that's interesting as well. And that would lead us to believe that there's something much bigger going on here. Finally here, the DOJ.gov website, where it talks about Rod Rosenstein and how he was selected to come on board as the tax division as the principal deputy assistant attorney general. Now, this is back in 2002, and it says tax division, DOJ, 2001-2005, Clinton Foundation investigation, 2001-2005, grand jury impaneled, Clinton Foundation failure to declare foreign donations, 2001-2003, Comey takeover investigation, 2002, director of FBI, 2002 was Robert Mueller. See how these people are connected? All the same players who were involved in setting up the president today were the ones covering up for the Clintons a decade, 2 decades ago, right? That's what matters here. And then it gives these documents about the Clinton Foundation from the FBI vault. And if you want to read through those, there's like hundreds of pages, and I haven't gotten through it all yet. But obviously there was an active investigation happening between 2001 and 2005 of the Clinton Foundation. And it got shut down immediately because they found a way to I believe, maybe compromise the individuals who are infiltrate the FBI and the DOJ, or specifically here the DOJ and the FBI, I guess, to the point where they were able to get it shut down. And then it says, don't bite the hands that feed you. That means they're on the payroll. That's where all the money's funneled down through DLA Piper and the Clinton Foundation, etc. Yeah, so there you go. I know that was a lot, guys, but sometimes we got to really go deep in the weeds on these ones and expose it for what it is. There's more information. I'll leave links to everything if you want to read through it all, but that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. A few more things before we go. Make sure you come here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below, and share these videos if you want to get the information out. We have to keep getting this information out there. Also, you can come over here and find me on Twitter at JustinformedTalk. At JustinformedYou is the Twitter handle, and it's just, as long as they let me be up here, eventually I'm sure we'll all be taken out, but we're going to keep telling the truth no matter what. I'm also on Twitter at informed_news. Plus, I changed it back because I like that name better. And you can find me over here at JustinformedTalk, which is the Parler channel that I have up, and justinformednews.com is the official website for Just Informed Talk, and BitChute.com/JustinFormedTalk is the backup channel. Plus, if you guys want to make a contribution, a few ways you can do it. The first way is to get a great product for free, and then they'll make a contribution to this channel, so it's a win-win. You don't have to do anything. You just download the Brave browser. I do this whole show on Brave browser specifically because it blocks the ads, so you don't see a bunch of weird pop-up ads in my Internet Explorer or browser while I'm trying to show you guys these articles. It's a great product. I've been using it for a long time now. Download it if you haven't yet and run it, install it on your computer, laptop, your smartphone, your smart device, whatever. It's a great product, and like I said, when you do that, they'll make a contribution to this channel, so it's a win-win. That's one easy way to support the channel. Another couple ways are patreon.com, which is a crowdfunding website. I'll leave a link. Patreon.com/JustinFormedTalk is the official donation page, and that's basically a great way you can help keep the channel going. Now, before we go, we do a segment called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, as I said before, I'm going to read a verse out of 1 Peter about undeserved suffering. This is for all you guys out there who are going through a tough time, whether it's with your work or your family, and you know, you just, I keep doing the right thing, and I keep getting in, you know, having a tough time of it. Or if it's even like I keep being a good Christian conservative who follows Christ and honors Christ, and I see all this suffering in the world. Well, here's how it all makes sense, right? And this is out of 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 13 through 18. And it says, "And who will harm you if you are passionate for what is good? But even if you should suffer for righteousness, you are blessed. Do not fear what they fear or be disturbed, but set apart the Messiah as Lord in your hearts, and always be ready to give a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. However, do this with gentleness and respect, keeping your conscience clear, so that when you are accused, those who denounce your Christian life will be put to shame. For it is better to suffer for doing good, if that should be God's will, than for doing evil. For Christ also suffered for sins once and for all, the righteous for the unrighteous, that he might bring you to God after being put to death in the fleshly realm, but made alive in the spiritual realm." So remember, guys, we have this eternal salvation because Christ put his life on the cross for us. And even though times are tough here and we suffer, remember what it says right here. It's better to suffer for doing good, if that should be God's will, than for doing evil. And that's why I keep going. That's why you should keep going. And that's what you should tell your friends and family and loved ones when they're having a difficult time. And that's my message to you for today. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. Thanks for watching. Remember to come here, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. And I'm just so thankful for all of you. That's it for me, though. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.